Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my September wrap-up, but it's going to be a super quick wrap-up this time. At least that's my plan. Just because I've already talked about all these books in the 2 reading vlogs that I filmed in September. Both of those should be up now, so you can go watch those if you're interested. I don't really have anything to add to what I was saying there, I feel like. And I didn't want this video be just me repeating myself for like 20-25 minutes. So I figured I'd just do a super quick wrap up, and then if you are interested in hearing more in-depth thoughts about what I thought about these books, you can go watch those vlogs instead. I wasn't sure if I was even going to film a wrap up this month just because I'd already talked about all these books, but then I figured I kind of wanted to wrap up my Bookish Bingo TBR, which I didn't do in those vlogs. In those vlogs, I basically talk about the 2 readathons that I was doing in September. So if you're interested in hearing me kind of talk about those and hear the prompts that I'm doing for those, you can go watch those vlogs as well. And then I also figured that for anyone who may not be interested in watching those vlogs, it would be nice to kind of do a quick wrap up here as well. So that's what I'm going to do. So the plan is I'm going to just go through each of the books that I read, what Bookish Bingo prompts I read them for, and then just do a quick rating and just like a very brief summary of what I thought about the book. So in September, I had 6 books for my Bookish Bingo TBR in September. And usually I will read a few more books aside from that, because Bookish Bingo usually gives me some room to add a few other books as well. But this month I only read those 6 books. I'm a little bit like, 6 books is the lowest I've had all year. And I guess I'm a little surprised that I wasn't able to read anything else. But I think it's just, one of the books that I read in September was Royal Assassin, which is a huge fantasy book. And I have mentioned before how that series is just taking me a while to read. Like, I'm reading the books a lot slower than other books. I think that definitely affected the number of pages and books I was able to get through in September. But then it's also the fact that I have mentioned before how I usually do most of my reading on the weekends. And in September I just had a couple of weekends where I didn't have time to read very much. So I think that definitely affected my reading as well. All in all, I felt like I had a good reading month. I wasn't feeling slumpish or anything, and I read books that I really enjoyed, but I just wasn't able to read as much as I usually do. But I think, the reasons that I just mentioned are probably why I didn't read more. Aside from this being the smallest amount of books that I read in a month all year, it's also my lowest page count for the year. So it's definitely my worst reading month if you look at those things, but it's fine. I read good books and I had a good time, so I guess that's what counts. But anyway, let me just go through the books that I read really quickly. So the first prompt that I got for Bookish Bingo was to read a book by an author I've read from before, and for this prompt I read Variable Onset by Layla Rain. This is a romantic mystery, I want to say. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I thought it was really enjoyable. I thought the mystery was good. And I haven't had the best luck with this type of book before, but this one I actually really enjoyed, so that was good. The main thing I struggled with in this one was just, I had a struggle following the character's thought process as I was kind of figuring out the clues and figuring out the mysteries. I couldn't quite understand how they came to the conclusions that they did. I'm not sure if that was me just being kind of slow or if it was the book, but that I guess was kind of my main issue. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars and it was really enjoyable. Then I got a double prompt, so I got the lowest number plus to add an extra prompt, and on the lowest number on the board I got the prompt to read a short book. And for this one I read Binti, Sacred Fire by Nedi Okorafor. I think I said in my TBR video that this is the 2nd book in the Binti series. That is not quite right as far as I was able to figure out. I think this is actually like a novella or a short story set between book 1 and 2 in the series. I felt kind of similar about this one as I did about the first one. I enjoy certain things about it, like the writing and the world, but I continue to feel that things are a little bit rushed and I struggle to really get engaged in the story. So I gave this one 3 stars as well, the same rating as I gave the first one. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about this one, like I said, you can go check out my first reading vlog in September, I think is where I talked about this one. And then the extra prompt that I got was to read a sequel. And that's the prompt where I chose to read Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. And like I mentioned before, this one took me forever to get through, but I just loved it so much at the same time. This is a 5-star book for me. I just enjoyed it that much. I enjoyed just so much about the series. I think right now at least, it's probably my favorite fantasy series. It's just so good. Writing, the world, the characters, the political intrigue, like everything about this, pretty much I enjoy. It's a little bit on the slower side, but that suits me pretty well. I'm not typically super into the more action-packed kind of books anyway, so yeah, this one is just really good. And if you watched my October TBR, you will know that the third book in the series is on my October TBR, and I've already started it, and I'm just still super intrigued about the story and the series. So yeah, 5 stars. Then I got the prompt to read a translated book. And for this prompt, I read My Brother's Husband, Volume 1 by Gengoro Tagame. This is a manga, and it's the first time I've ever read a manga, so that was like a new experience to me, but I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars, and I really want to get to the second volume as soon as I can, because I own that one as well, and I really want to read it quite soon. I unfortunately wasn't able to put it on my October TBR, so I don't know if I'll get to it this month, but hopefully soon, because I really want to read the second volume as well. So yeah, this was great. The next prompt that I got was TBR jar. And the prompt that I picked out of my jar, which is not really a jar, but more like a list that I have on my computer, I got Virgin Flyer by Lucy Lennox. This is a romance, and I mentioned a couple of times how I was a little bit hesitant going into this just because I haven't had luck with Lucy Lennox in the past. The one book that I read from her, I didn't really like that much. This one was a totally different story. I loved this one. I thought it was great. Gave it 4.5 stars. Just had a good time reading it, basically. It didn't quite give me that 5-star feeling, but it was pretty close. Like, I don't really have anything negative to say about this at all. So yeah, 4.5 stars for this one. And then the final prompt that I got was a wild card. And for this one, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This was my audiobook for the month, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I talk quite a lot about my feelings about this book in my second reading vlog, but basically I absolutely love the story about Patroclus and Achilles. But the book, aside from that, like the setting and the story, was more okay for me. I'm just not super into Greek mythology, or mythology in general, I should say. It's not just the Greek. So that wasn't like quite my thing, but the story about Patroclus and Achilles was wonderful and amazing, and I loved that. So this was kind of like, some parts of the book was okay, other parts I loved, so 4 stars for this one feels about right. It was a really good one, and I would recommend the audiobook as well. I thought that one was really good as well. So that was my kind of quick wrap up. I hope you don't mind that I did it this way. I just didn't really want to repeat everything I talked about in the reading vlogs. That just felt very unnecessary. If you want to hear me talk about these books, like I said, you can go watch those vlogs. I think in the first one I talk about Variable Onset, I talk about the Binti book, and I talk about My Brother's Husband. I also talked a little bit about The Song of Achilles and Royal Assassin there, but not that much. And then in the second book I talk more about Virgin Flyer, The Song of Achilles, and Royal Assassin. So go watch those vlogs if you want to hear more thoughts from me about all these books. But yeah, that's going to be at the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, you can always hit like down below, or you can subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!